Yo guys, what's up? So today we are here again and we need to continue with the continuation of the topic that we did in the last class. What I thought of discussing with you people today is something related to perfection or imperfection. Let me just write down the topic for you, and the topic is perfection. Or maybe I can write one another word for you guys, and that is imperfection. Are you perfect? I mean, whenever you do something, are you like, oh, I'm the perfect person ever on the earth, right? So are you perfect? Maybe let's say when you are studying for your exams, and let's say your exam is going to start at 9:30 a.m. So at 9:29 a.m. can you say, I'm perfectly ready for the exam and I'll write the exam perfectly? No, right? Like, we try our level best to attain the perfection, right? Mr. Perfectionist of Bollywood, Aamir Khan. So we all try to be like him, but generally we do not, we can't be like him, right? So I mean, there is something known as imperfection or perfection in chemistry as well. Like, for example, since we are talking about the chapter solid state. Now, in this chapter solid state, we are talking about the arrangement of atoms, right? Let us just say I have A, right? So we have written all the A's like this. Again, we are writing A. And you must have done certain those tricky questions which are there in Facebook and WhatsApp, right? There will be so many A's written, and then you have to figure out the point where A is not written. So here you can very easily see that. See, for example, I have written A's everywhere. But in this particular thing, you can see one side I have written B also, right? And this is what you call, there is some imperfection. If everything would have been A, then I would have called it perfect. But since there is one B, so I will call it to be imperfect. Am I right? But if all the things would have been A, this is perfect. I have done so many questions like this on Facebook, on WhatsApp. Everything is there, right? So there will be so many, let's say, dogs which will be drawn in a very small space, and instead of a dog they would have drawn a cat here, and they'll ask you to figure out where is the cat, right? So that is what is imperfection in a perfect system. That means when even in the chapter solid state, we are talking about the structure of a crystal. Right? So a crystal must be having a crystalline structure. So when we say that a crystal is having a crystalline structure, we generally say that that particular crystalline structure must be perfect. Nature wants perfection. Each atom, each ion, each molecule, it tries to attain the perfect arrangement. But yeah, we can't be perfect. How does an atom know that I want to be perfect? No, right? An atom is there in the atmosphere, right? Let us say we have got an ionic crystal. So when we say that an atom is there with an ionic crystal, so ionic crystal must be made up of ions. What ions? Let's say the ions are A plus, 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 A plus. Let's say so many A plus are there, right? And then there are ions B minus. If everything would have been at its place at the described position, it would have been called as an ionic crystalline solid with the perfection, right? But then the problem is, at some times it is possible that this A positive is not present at the site. Maybe it goes somewhere else, it is present here. Maybe some other ion or some small molecule comes from outside and settles here, right? That means, guys, whenever there is any disturbance in the perfect crystalline structure, then that thing is known as imperfection in the case of ionic solids. Okay. Now guys, it is quite possible that we may be having a molecular solid or we may be having an ionic solid. Listen to me very carefully. I am saying you may have solids of different types. It may be a molecular solid or it may be an ionic solid. Okay. But if in the case of molecular solids, some molecules are missing from a particular point, or let us say some ions in the case of ionic solids are missing from their perfect position and they may be present somewhere else or they may not be present at all. So anything like that is said to be point defect. Okay, so at a very small point in the entire structure, there may be some imperfection, and that kind of imperfection is known as point defect. So point defect may occur in the case of molecular solids, it may also occur in the case of ionic solids. Okay, so this was just a kind of introduction to what is point defect, what is actually a defect, what is actually imperfection, what is not perfect system. Okay, so this was all related to the introduction. Now what I'll do, I'll just take out this option which is point defect and we'll start studying into the details about what is point defect. So let me just write it down for you guys. Okay guys, see. So now let me write down by starting with what is point defect. I told you, right, point defect means that there must be some imperfection at any particular point in the crystal system. Now I can very simply define the point defect into three categories. The very first category that I will be starting with is stoichiometric defect. We'll try to understand everything in details one by one. The second category is non-stoichiometric. And the third category that we are going to start with is impurity. So these are the three kinds of point defects that we will be studying into details now in our lecture. But before we continue with the scientific meaning of stoichiometric defect, non-stoichiometric defect and impurity defects, let me just give you a kind of example. Since you are school going students, so let me just say, consider that this is you. You're looking very cute, by the way. So let's say this is you and you have to go to school and your school starts at, let's say, 8 a.m. okay, and this is your school. Although this is a house, but you consider that it is your school and it starts at 8 a.m. So you need to reach your school at 8 a.m. or before, right? You cannot reach after 8 a.m. otherwise you will be marked absent. Let's say what happens is, when you are standing here, let's say when you are here in your bed, you woke up at around 6:45 a.m. Okay, at 6:45 a.m. you woke up, you freshen up yourself, everything you did, and you got ready by 7:05 a.m. or let's say by 7:10 a.m. you were ready. Then your mom started calling you and she started shouting, so here you were ready. Then she started calling you, she started shouting, and then she said that come to the breakfast, you have your breakfast, and let's say by 7:20 a.m. you had your breakfast. Okay, now you ate so much, so you felt happy. Fine. Now after having your breakfast, let's say you packed your bag and it took you another 10 minutes to get completely ready, and it was 7:30 a.m. Now you are at the door and you're just moving out of the door, okay? At 7:30 a.m. you need to go to your bus stand, which takes you around 7:35 a.m. and you are at bus stand. Okay, and now what happens from 7:35 a.m. to 8 a.m., let's say at exact 7:55 a.m. you reach the school premises. You reached. And you have a buffer time of 5 minutes, and then you are going to be there in your class at 8 a.m. Okay, this is what is your general thing. This is how you follow. Now let me tell me one thing. Suppose someday you woke up late, and when you woke up late, let's say you woke up at around 7 a.m. Oh my God, the 15 minutes of the day. Now you will realize the importance. So you woke up at 7 a.m. So till 7:10, if you can get ready, everything is okay, right? But suppose if it takes you 7:20 to get ready, it will take you 7:35 to be out of the door. It will take you another 7:45 to reach the bus stand, blah blah blah, and thus you will reach the school premises late. And if you are gonna reach the school premises late, you will be marked absent. Am I right? Let's say you did something else. You woke up at around 6:45 only, but then you didn't take a bath. Many students do that, right? And I am very sure that you must be one of them. So you didn't take bath. So till 7:10, what were you doing? You were using Facebook. Okay, so you didn't do anything, but till 7:10 you were just doing Facebook. But still you reached the office, the school on time, and you reached there at exactly 8 a.m. Right? That means in both the two cases, when you woke up late or when you woke up early but you were doing something else, you were not a perfect student. Right? You were not a perfect student, because there was some deviation from your regular arrangement. Now what happened? In this case, when you reached the school late, you were marked absent, right? Whereas in this case, although you were not a perfect student, but still you were not marked absent because you reached the school on time. Am I right? That means in one of the case, defect is there also, and defect is here also. Okay, but because of the defect here, you were marked absent, but because of the defect here, you were marked present. So what did we conclude from this kiddish example? We simply concluded that maybe the system is having defect, but it does not necessarily means that there will be a change in the final result. Am I right? Now let us try to correlate the example with the scientific notations. See carefully, we are talking about stoichiometric defects. So stoichiometric defects are basically those defects where there is no change in the formula. Although the defect may be present in the system, but there is no change in the final formula of the ionic solid. Like for example, let us say an ionic solid is made up of cations and anions. Okay, let's say there are 20 cations and there were 20 anions that were present in the crystal system. And now 2 cations were missing and 2 anions were missing. But then also the formula of the compound remains same. Okay, so although there was a defect, but the formula of the compound remains the same, that is known as a stoichiometric defect. Okay. However, whenever there is a change in the formula, So whenever there is a change in the final formula because of the defect being present in the crystal system, this we call as non-stoichiometric defect. And finally, let us say when some impurity is added from outside, let's say the entire crystal is made up of these three different chalks. One is yellow, one is blue and one is pink, okay? And the entire crystal system is having only these three color chalks. Now, if I am adding one white chalk and I am removing the yellow one, so there must be a defect, right? So you can say, right, that this white chalk is acting as an impurity. So that will be considered under the impurity effect, where there is a foreign material that will be added or that has to be taken out from the system, but there must be some foreign material involved, and this will cover our impurity defects, okay? So guys, note it down so that finally we can move on to the discussion of stoichiometric defects. So now we'll leave all the three aside, but we'll simply figure out what is stoichiometric defect. So let us try to discuss them. So guys, I think having done with what is stoichiometric defect, let us start moving into the details of the topic stoichiometric defects. Let me write it down. So we have the topic as stoichiometric defects. By the way, what is there in the details of the topic stoichiometric defect? As per I told you, what is the definition? Definition simply means that there may be some imperfection in the crystal system, okay? Something might be missing, something might be added, some disrearrangement might be there. But then also with all those things, keep them aside, the molecular formula of the compound doesn't change. Now guys, the stoichiometric defect is finally divided into four categories. The very first category is vacancy defect. Then we move on to our second category, that is interstitial defect. Finally, we are going to move on to our third category, which is known as Schottky defect. And then I will be teaching you the fourth category, which is known as Frenkel defect. Oh my god, it's a lengthy topic. So let me just start teaching you all these 4 point defects which are categorized into the Schottky defects one by one. Let me first of all start with the topic vacancy defect. Let us see here. Okay. So see carefully guys, what is vacancy defect? Vacancy defect simply means that certain ions or certain molecules, so basically certain molecules will be missing from, molecules are missing from their lattice sites, okay? Okay, let us consider, for example, there is a classroom of students, okay, but it's a girls' school, so only girls are there. So she's a girl, second girl, third girl, fourth girl, fifth, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and let's say 5 more are there. Okay. So everyone is seated at a proper seat, right? So this girl is given seat number 1, seat number 2, seat number 3 and so on. Fine. Now let us say the girl 7 is not present in the class. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. When I said that the 7th girl is bunking the class and she is not present in the class, so she goes away. It's a girls' school, okay? So only girls are there. So she went away. Now can you see that the strength of the class has reduced, right? The strength of the class got reduced, and there is a vacant space that will be created in the class, right? So that is what is known as vacancy defect. Now if I ask you to take this vacancy defect in the case of molecular solids, for example A. So instead of girls, you just need to consider the molecules A. So let us say one of the molecule is missing from its actual lattice site. So when one of the molecule is missing from the actual lattice site, then a defect is created here, and this is known as vacancy defect. Okay, and also one very obvious thing, that the vacancy defect will decrease the density of solid. Density of solid decreases, right? Why density decreases, guys? See, the volume is same, the volume of the class is same, but the number of girls in the class got decreased, right? The volume occupied is same, but one of the molecule with some molecular mass got removed from the class, right? So the density of the solid will decrease. Moreover, I can easily say that if you increase the temperature, then more number of molecules will be moving out. More number of molecules will be moving out means the density will decrease even more, right? And just to correlate this thing, guys, see, for example, if outside the class there is a competition going on, and let's say girls like eating so much, right? So let's say outside there is a vendor and he's selling ice cream. I mean, if I would have been that girl, I would have gone out. So if an ice cream is being sold here, so more number of girls can go out, right? So if you increase the temperature, more number of molecules will start going away, and thus thereby it will create a vacancy defect. So this is what we are done with the vacancy defect. Cool enough? Now let us move on to second kind of defect, which is known as interstitial defect. Let me just start telling you something related to interstitial defect as well. Oh my god, why did I change the classroom? Let's say, what is interstitial defect? Interstitial defect is see, suppose there is a class, and again the class is, let's say, only of girls. So girls school is there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so there are 12 girls in a class. Now let us imagine a situation. Suppose this girl, okay, she recently had a breakup with her boyfriend. Now if she recently had a breakup with her boyfriend, she must be crying, right? She must be sad or something. So all the girls will go and, you know, they'll try to get around that girl. So let's say this girl goes and settles here, right? That means, now see guys, very carefully, you must agree, right? There is some space created here. So there is a defect created here, right? So this is the defect. That means when a particular molecule is not present at its own site, but it is present there in the interstices, that kind of defect is known as interstitial defect. Okay, so we can simply say that when the atoms or when the molecules are not present at their exact location. So if we have some exact location, then the atoms or the molecules are not present at the exact location, but they may be present in certain interstices. So when they will be present in certain interstices, that is known as interstitial defect. Okay. Now guys, see very carefully once again. So when we are talking about interstitial defect, the density of the solid doesn't change. Why? Because the mass is same, right? The number of girls in the class are still same. The volume of the class is still same. And if instead of girls, I would have taken, let us say, atoms. So if I am trying to take about atoms, I will say A. So let's say one of the atom is not present here, but it goes and settles somewhere here in the interstitials. Then the density will remain same, right? Because the mass of the entire thing is same. The volume of the entire thing is also same. So we can simply say that there won't be any change in the density of the crystal which is having interstitial defect. Cool enough? So having done with the interstitial defect as well, let us now move on to the third category, and this time the third category is taken as Schottky defect. This is very interesting, I'll tell you. So let us try to discuss the details of Schottky defect. Now it won't be a girls' school or a boys' school, it has to be a co-ed school. Do remember I am talking about a co-ed school now. So finally let us start talking about Schottky defect. Okay, let's say so there is a co-ed school and there are girls as well as boys in the class. So girls I'll be making in pink and boys I'll be making in let's say white. So boy, so these many are the boys in a class and let's say these are the girls in our class. And suppose that in the class there is a good couple, but then these people are very chit-chatty. All the time they'll be discussing their love stories. So what will happen? Let us say there is a couple. The boy is sitting here, but from that couple, the girl is sitting here. I mean, they are not present together. So the boy sits in the third row, whereas the girl sits in the second row. Fine? And they are very, very, very chit-chatty. So what do you think should happen? So let's say the teacher enters, but still they are chit-chatting like anything. Okay? So what will the teacher do? She'll ask, go get out of the class. Now that is quite obvious, no? Because of love, or you say because of whatever, to maintain, you know, the relationship, he will also be like, okay, I am also leaving the class, right? Both of them for sure will leave the class, and when both of them are going to leave the class, then you will say that there is a defect created here as well as here. Am I right? So a defect is created here and a defect is created here. Okay? Now listen to me very carefully when I am talking in the terms of ions. This is very important. So let us say m plus x minus m plus x minus m plus. So this is our arrangement, and this arrangement is being carried out throughout the crystal. So then again we have m plus x minus m plus x minus m plus, right? Further moving on, x minus m plus x minus m plus x minus. So this is our crystal arrangement, and when this is our crystal arrangement, let us say that equal number of cations and anions. So equal number of cations and anions, they are missing from their lattice site. Equal number of cations and anions are missing from their lattice site. Now guys, the question is, ma'am, why should equal number of cations and anions be missing? Yeah, that is an ionic solid, no? And if it's an ionic solid, you must agree that the total positive charge has to be entirely equal to total negative charge, right? And when I say that the total positive and the total negative charge have to be equal, so we can say, no, that if m plus is moving out, then x minus has to move out. Okay, let us say earlier 10 m plus were there and 10 x minus were there. So what was the formula of the compound? The formula of the compound was mx, right? Now 1 m and 1 x are lost. So finally I can write m are 9, x are 9. So what should be the formula of the compound? mx. That means equal number of cations and anions will be missing from their lattice site. Now if I am saying they are missing from the lattice site, I am simply saying that they are going away from the crystal. So they are just leaving. So when the two students left the class, you agreed, right, that the number of students in the class decreases. Similarly, when a cation and an anion are leaving the class, you do agree, right, that the density of the solid will decrease. So density of solid is gonna decrease. Okay. So we simply say that in the case of Schottky defect, the density of the solid decreases because ions are moving out from their lattice site and they are leaving the entire crystal. Fine enough? Now guys, you do agree, right, if you increase the temperature of the system. Let us say how to increase the temperature of the system. Oh my god. So there is a, let's say there is some party going on, okay, and the party is going on and everything is very fine. So don't you think more number of couples will come out of the class? So if this is coming, even this will come out of the class, right? Genuinely, right? So more number of cations and anions will be leaving the system. Similarly, when you increase the temperature of the system, then the Schottky defect will increase. So increasing the temperature of the system will also help in increasing the Schottky defect of the system. Fine. One more small point you can remember, that the Schottky defect is generally observed in those crystals which have a high coordination number. Like for example, it is observed in the case of sodium chloride. You know, right, we have done in our last classes that the coordination number of Na and Cl are 6:6. Schottky defect is also observed in the case of cesium chloride, where the coordination number is 8:8. Okay, and also you need to remember that Schottky defect generally occurs in those cases where the size of cation and anion are approximately the same. This is an important point. So we simply say that the size of cation is approximately equal to the size of anion. And see carefully here. So let us say if one anion is going out first, so this went out first, okay, so there must be one m plus extra, it also has to leave the molecule, but now the size of m plus and x minus is approximately same. There is very small difference in the size of m plus and x minus. So this m plus doesn't even try to fit into the void because the void is very small, whereas the size of cation is big enough. So now the cation is left with no other option, but it also has to leave the structure. So we simply say that the Schottky defect is generally occurring in those cases where the coordination number is high, and the coordination number is high generally in those cases where the size of cations and anions are approximately same. Okay. So having done with this, I want you to note it down so that now finally we can move on to the discussion of Frenkel defect. So guys, having done with what is Schottky defect, now I think we should be moving on to what is Frenkel defect. Let me just write it again, and now we are going to study the details of another defect which is known as Frenkel. So this you will find easy because it is almost same as Schottky defect. By the way, let me mark it. We are done with Schottky defect also. And let us start doing what is Frenkel defect. Okay. So see carefully here. Now I am saying this is almost same as Schottky defect. Here also it's a co-ed school and couples are there in the class, okay? But let us draw the classroom again. So that's a classroom, and let me draw the ionic crystal also at the same point. So that is chemistry and that is normal daily life. So what we have to do? Five guys in first row, and let's say here I am drawing four anions in the first row. Let us draw girls. Fine enough, and let us draw them here. Okay, cool enough. Moving on, now let me represent girls like this. And guys once again. So once again another row of guys. I really feel like as if I am studying in school once again. So now I am recalling my school days. And then we have girls. That's it, enough of a strength in the class, right? Okay, now let me make couples. So let us try to make the perfect couple in the class. So this is the guy who is committed to a girl who is sitting here. Okay, and now the guy was chit-chatting. But this girl, instead of both of them leaving the class, so this girl simply came and sat somewhere near this guy. Okay, so see very carefully. This is almost same as interstitial defect, right? But what is happening here? We can say that the cation is missing from the lattice site, but instead of leaving the entire crystal, the cation is not leaving the crystal, but it will be present somewhere in the interstitial site, which is thus known as Frenkel defect. Okay, so what I am saying here, so if I draw the arrangement here once again, so what I am doing here is, so we have cations. Now let us say this cation, this particular cation is not present at its own lattice site. And when it is not present at its own lattice site, let us say it goes and settles somewhere here. But this void is created. Okay, and this is known as Frenkel defect. Now guys, see carefully, as was there in the interstitial defect, don't you think there won't be no change in the density? So there will not be any change in the density of the crystal because the number of the cations is same, the number of anions is same. Since no cation is going out, no anion is leaving the system, so you can say it is also a type of stoichiometric defect because there is no change in the formula. The formula is also same. Okay. Now see guys, the way we were saying that the Schottky defect generally occurs in the case of cations and anions which are having a high coordination number. Can I here simply say that it occurs in the case of those ionic crystals where they have a low or small coordination number? For example, it occurs in the case of ZnS where the coordination number is 4:4. So that is our point number 3. Fine. Moving further, I can also say that there is, okay, so there is no change in density we have done. Now guys, do you think that there must be a large difference in the case of cation and anion sizes? And why so? This also I will explain you. See, I am saying that there has to be a large difference in the case of cations and anions. So generally we say, right, that the anions will be bigger in size and the cations will be small, chotu say, right, very small in size. So the cation is this much and let's say anion is this much. Now do you agree that if the cation is so small, very small cation, then instead of leaving the system, it must go and would be present somewhere in the interstitial site, right? So this is only and only possible if the size of cation is small, and if the size of cation would have been bulkier or would have been bigger, then it would not have been easy for the cation to settle into the interstitial void, right? And thus we say that here there won't be any change in the density. This is possible because there would be a large difference in the size of cations and anions, okay? Moreover guys, you can remember one more good fact as well, that the energy required in order to carry out Frenkel defect is lesser than the energy required to carry out Schottky defect. Why? Because in the case of Schottky defect, you simply have to make sure that the cation as well as anion are leaving the system. But here nothing like that. You don't have to leave out the anion. So the cation also doesn't have to leave the system. So the energy required is less. Moreover, I don't know where to write, but then that's also a fact that if you increase the temperature, then also the Frenkel defect increases. That's well obvious, right? Whenever you bring about a change in the temperature, then for sure the energy will be more, the cations or the anions will be having more energy, more disturbance, and hence more number of defects. Okay, so guys, now we are done with another defect as well, which is known as Frenkel defect. Cool enough? So what we did in today's class, let me just give you a review. We started with what is defect, what is imperfection. We discussed what is point defect. Then we divided point defects into three categories, right? One was Schottky defect, stoichiometric defect, then we have non-stoichiometric defects and impurity defects. Then I asked you to keep the other two aside and we started moving on to what is stoichiometric defect. I divided the stoichiometric defects into 4 different classes: vacancy defect, interstitial defect, Schottky defect, Frenkel defect, and we discussed the entire details about them. Okay. Now that's it for today, and having done with this thing, I want you to revise everything very properly, because with this prerequisite knowledge, we will be able to move on to our next lecture where I'll teach you something related to non-stoichiometric defects. Okay. But for that thing, I want you to take a break, revise everything, just be energetic once again so that we can continue further. So till that time, take care, bye-bye.